Well, Matt, I've seen you putting your statements out there, telling people to stop praise bombing you. You know,
It's just becoming too much.
yeah, everybody's like, Matt's the greatest. Go watch Matt's stream. We love Matt. Check him out. And it's going overboard.
Overwhelming.
And you got to put a stop to it, right? As one does when you just receive too much praise from the internet.
I feel like the shoe's going to drop at any moment. What? Okay, continue. Yeah, yep.
This is and all this praise is coming certainly not from any sort of AI generated bot systems or anything like that.
Oh, there it is.
There
it is. Okay.
This is, I don't know how else to get into this weird story, but it is one of the weirder, it's just like a new angle. We've all heard about review bombing, right? Game comes out, people don't like it, and they want to make a big statement and bomb it with reviews. And sometimes...
But usually those are people.
Usually there's people. Of course, we've heard about bots, reviewing games and that kind of thing before. And usually Steam catches it and stuff like that happens and you kind of get around it. There's this game that came out called Star Sand, I believe. Actually, Star Sand. I'm not totally sure what kind of game it is. It looks like some sort of cozy island building game or something. So it's made by this Chinese studio, and they were getting apparently a ton of crazy amounts of positive reviews with like people with like very little playtime and no Steam achievements on their accounts for the game, which people are saying you'd get an achievement for just playing the first 5 minutes of game. Like, it's super weird that they have 4 hours in the game and no achievements, They put out a statement saying, like, at first they were really excited by all of the positive reviews coming in for their new game. Then they noticed that some of these reviews seem like they could be fake or whatever, and to please stop praise bombing the game. And it's just weird, right? That in itself is kind of weird, right? Because
this isn't anything new necessarily. Like, stuff like this has been going on for a very long time with buying and it's an unfortunate side of the internet.
And just to be clear, anybody could praise bomb any game, right? You could review bomb or you could praise bomb, and the developers behind that game kind of have no control over what happens on that side because it's not their platform. They can't control which reviews are deleted or kept and all that stuff.
Right.
That said, there's a bunch of weird sort of sketchy stuff around the studio, and it just seems like, what are the odds that somebody is paying some third-party actor is just like, I'm going to pay a lot of money to praise bomb this game. And apparently people are saying like there's actually a bunch of issues with the game and like it probably wouldn't be getting all this praise naturally. I'm gonna read one of the top posts on Reddit talking about the issue, which I think does a decent job of sort of explaining the situation. So it says, looks like the beta testers and backers didn't get their keys on time. The Xbox version of the game is terrible, according to this poster. And the devs are flooding Steam with fake reviews, according to theories anyway.
According to them. Yeah. No proof, but according, okay, gotcha.
I mean, it seems to be pretty conclusive that the reviews are fake and that the accounts have 0 achievements after 4 hours in the game. And there's a ton of reviews with similar verbiage, all using the same kind of praising style language that kind of looks like talking points, essentially. And basically saying that not only can they not really determine who or what is doing this, but they probably never will be able to point it down to say, oh, the devs definitely praise bombed their own game here. But it's just weird. It's a weird take, and I think it's interesting that if the devs did it themselves, and likely whoever's doing it wouldn't even tell the developers, right? If you're like an executive doing marketing stuff, you're just like, marketing guys, like let's praise bomb the game, and the devs have no idea or whatever, right? Like that seems likely. You wouldn't tell your whole dev team.
Marketing. How about we just make a good game? That couldn't possibly be the right idea.
There's another interesting theory that somebody put out there, says like, well, a lot of these studios just hire marketing agencies, right, to promote your game. And they just say, here's 50 grand or 100 grand, whatever, like.
And then they just go wild.
Market. And like, if these marketing agencies were like, okay, well, let's use this system that just drops a whole bunch of positive reviews. And I mean, if you got a good marketing agency, that should never happen. But
yeah, it should never happen.
Who knows what's happening over there? It's such a weird thing because I never see articles about praise bombing. It's usually review bombing. This game got reviewed bombed.
It's usually highly negative. Yeah.
And then the devs are like, please stop praise bombing us and let us just continue our development in peace. That's like literally what they said. And I was like, that's so awkward.
Bizarre. Yeah, it's bizarre.
So again, not saying conclusively they're responsible for it, but the fact that it would cost a lot of money to sort of review bot something, like it's probably not a cheap endeavor. I mean, what are the odds that there's some crazy fanboy that's like, this game must do well?
It's the best. Yeah. Everyone must know about it.
Yeah. On top of which, it's like you're sort of self-sabotaging the project by doing it. So
yeah.
Weird story. What are the odds that it's not somebody on the dev team, some executive paying for praise bombing? But I've taken out a pretty big payment on some praise bombs for you, Matt. So those should be coming in today.
Shut up. Don't.
I know. I know your industry is view botting, right? And that's a big issue on Twitch right now.
Yeah, it is a big issue. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so nuts. It's so nuts that like you're like, yeah, economically it works out for these big guys to drop all this money potentially, right?
There's no proof. You basically have to like say it out loud that you're doing it for Twitch to take any action. But there's like there can be indicators and stuff like that for sure. But yes, that's a whole subject I've never looked into because I'm just like I'm just going to do my thing. I'm just going to live stream and hope people enjoy it and then hopefully make a living out of it.
Yeah. Well, so far so good, right?
So far so good. Yeah, so far so good.
Did you so I got to play the new Battlefield 6 Season 2 stuff early.
I did not, because apparently I'm not cool.
I thought you got invited to it. I was trying to poke around a little bit, but we only got to play the one map, and you're going to get to play it. Well, technically, the podcast launches a day after.
Tomorrow.
So, yeah, it'll already be out for everybody, and you'll already be playing it. But I got to play the new map, which is kind of really the only highlight at this point. There's a couple of new weapons, but they're just...
There's some new weapons and stuff, right? Yeah, it's exciting, kind of.
Kinda. I mean, yes. Old Battlefield fan me would be like, "Oh my God, there's a new assault rifle. Let's pick it apart." Now I'm like, "Oh, it's a new assault rifle.
It's a new weapon." Yeah. So how's the map?
I think the map is really good.
Good, because we need some wins.
Yeah, it's certainly better than both of the season 1 maps. And
really, because I liked Eastwood. I think Eastwood's fun.
I think Eastwood's fun also. I think it's better than now. Granted, I'm a guy who likes outdoorsy maps. Okay. I like trees. I like mountains.
How long did you have to play it?
2 hours.
Okay, so that's not really a lot of time to like really kind of get a good impression. But
are you saying that my gaming veteran skills can't look at a map for 2 hours and generally suss out whether or not it's going to be good, Matt? Are you telling me I don't?
No, I don't know if you're long term if it will eventually be a good map. There might be things that become problematic.
I am anticipating, and I did mention, I put out a video today actually on this saying that
I'll have to watch it.
The hill in the center of the map is probably going to just be fought over by snipers the whole game because it is such a sniper heaven. To just sit up on this hill and just shoot people, and you can just duck behind cover as soon as they're like, "Hey, there he is," and you just hide behind a rock, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll go back to capping this point," and then you peek out again and just start sniping them. I was dropping people like flies from up there. So that could become an issue. I don't know how big of an issue it'll be. Other than the sniper hilltop spot, I didn't notice any sort of problematic areas of the map. The flow was really fun when I was playing. It's got the little bird helicopter, man. Oh, Matt.
How was it?
They're gonna nerf it probably. Like, it's so easy to kill people. You don't even have to get close to them, Matt. Like, not even close. I could see.
And you're fast. I imagine it's agile.
It's agile. I don't think it's quite as agile as past games. Like, they might have toned it down 5-10% or something.
Wow,
yeah, really toned it down.
It tough here.
I could also be wrong on that front. I mean, I didn't have eternity in the helicopter, but its rocket pods are powerful. Like, you get in close, you mow them down with the miniguns, but from a distance, you're just like fire a barrage of rocket pods, and like I was killing infantry that were like in windows of buildings. It would just blow open the wall and then kill them inside the building.
And that's cool.
Yeah, it was dope. Not for the guy on the receiving end. And
oh, yeah, but you're also in a helicopter.
Yeah. I did mention that in my coverage. I was like, this is great news for pilots. For everybody else, you might not be so happy about this new vehicle.
Well, I hope that it's not too crazy, because I think having more, we need more vehicles.
I got killed in it a lot, for the record. So attack helicopter, like one strafe from the gunner just killed me. I believe the pilot can get shot out much more frequently. So even before killing the chopper itself, some of that splash damage might just kill the pilot, and then you're dead. And then the chopper goes careening down. I got killed by a railgun in one shot. I was getting constantly locked. Anti-air cannon got me in one pass. So like, it's a glass cannon, but that is kind of my favorite vein.
It was also a glass cannon in past battlefields, but because it was so nimble, you just could never actually lock it down, and it would just murder the entire. Like I want people to have the ability to play and actually express their skill with these vehicles. I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't be able to do that, right? But past battlefield showed that, like, in the right hands, these vehicles became a menace. Like, it wasn't fun to be on the receiving end. Didn't matter if you were using stingers, didn't matter if you were using dumbfire. Like, you were not killing them, and they were going to destroy your entire team. And it was just too much. So I'm hoping that they find a nice balance. Did you see those 2042
highlight reels of that guy that was like God tier in the Little Bird? And like everybody was locking him, and he's like, I'll just do some crazy barrel rolls and backflips, and your missiles can't hit me. And then like there was one guy, I don't know if it was the same guy, but he would do stuff where he'd like flip over a dude, switch to the passenger seat, pull out a sniper rifle, headshot the dude, and then get back in the pilot seat. And I'm like, okay, man.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
I know. It was so insane. I was like, well, at this point, just let that guy do it, because I mean, those are skills that nobody else will ever possess.
No one's going to be able to pull that off except for him.
Yeah, there's one person on the planet that can do that. So we'll see where the Little Bird lands. I really like the flow of the map and the visuals of the map. It's fun. It's cool. It feels kind of classic in its aesthetic and the combat of it. It is a medium-sized map. It is not a massive all-out warfare map. And I think that's the biggest thing going against it, because it's a great map, all other things considered. But if you say, hey, here's Battlefield 6, what are players really starved for? Massive open warfare maps. Cool. Yeah. Here's a medium-sized map. Okay, well, nobody's going to be over the moon to get more medium-sized map. At least it's not a close quarters map. I'll put that out there. It could have been worse, right?
Well, it sounds like the next one's going to be close quarters. So
the next one is going to be close quarters. Granted, it looks like a really cool close quarters map, I gotta say, based on the trailer. But community sentiment clearly around this news is sort of like, one, we're getting 2 maps per season again, which was like everybody was afraid of falling back into this cycle. And then 2, we're not getting the content that we think would balance out the game better. We're all saying BF6 is fun, but is way too focused on CQB stuff. Like, let's open it up a bit. And we're getting more medium and CQB stuff, and it's not.
I think season 3 will be the actual like.
That's
hey,
what we said about season 2.
No, it wasn't. I said season because I remember distinctly.
Yeah.
It's 6 months of development to make a map. Season 1 and 2 are already in development, and then season 3 would be where we would actually finally see changes that they've based off of. You would think that they would have known feedback from the community. Before the launch of the game, that like, hey, people would have wanted some larger scale maps, right?
Yeah.
But if they are only taking it off of the feedback from the release of the game, then once season 3 releases, that would be 6 months.
Yeah.
From launch. So that's why I say it is a meme. We were saying that and it's true. We were saying like, we'll see what happens with season 2, but season 3 is when I think we'll finally get what they've actually been able to work on and start up and spin up since the release of the game. At least that's my hypothetical.
And I'll give I'll do a little bit of math here, not real math, but I'll just estimate. Like 2042, we got annoyed with the low amounts of maps that they were delivering with that game too, and the low amount of content. But we also got a huge content drought, both with BF5, with 2042. There's these massive gaps of like no content at all where the community
Yeah.
really died off, and then it was like slowly.
Battlefield 1 was really bad with that, and then they got like a good cadence after that initial dry spell.
So at the very least, Battlefield 6 is getting us content on schedule. It's not the amount of content that we want, but granted, there was the delay.
There was a delay. There was a
1 month delay in there, which given BF's history, that's like nothing, right? But so I think if you compared the content release schedule to a lot of other previous games, we're starting off better. But it's just everybody wants more because we've seen what the greatest
what they're capable of
has been. Yeah. So I'll just say the new map is great. I think it's one of my favorite maps I've played so far. And
good.
Yeah, so that's really good. It thematically, it's a really good setting. I want more wooded, forest, mountainy maps, things that remind me of a lot of my favorite maps from past games. So I like that part of it a lot. And the weapons are fine. Oh, there's orange gas in it, which is funny because it feels like BF1. When you ran into the gas in BF1 and had to put on your gas mask and then you're fighting with the...
It was obnoxious.
It was pretty annoying. This time, it doesn't hurt you. So you can run into it without a mask on, but you just start to see and hear stuff. So you start hearing like distant gunshot. Yeah, you're tripping balls. And then you like see guys standing there and you see like fake bullets too, like flying through the air. So it gets a bit trippy and you're like, oh, who do I shoot at, right? Is this hallucination actually an enemy? Do I shoot at this guy or not? I noticed, though, they intentionally, I think, made Footsteps of Real players a bit different. And so I was able to actually zero in and still down some people in the gas because I could just hear them approaching.
Could you put a mask on?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a mask system.
Yeah. They said in the sort of the video that they gave us before we played, that's supposed to just kind of brief us on everything we're going to play, that you have to equip the mask, but all of my classes just had masks. So I don't know. I didn't look into it much. I didn't.
It'd be kind of weird kind of dumb if you had to use a gadget slot or something to.
Yeah, nobody would choose it. So it's possible that video was a little bit outdated and they just changed it or something.
Yeah. Do you want a spawn beacon or a mask? It's like, well, how much? Like, if they're predicting that you're going to need the mask that often, then holy, I do not want that direction for the game because I hated that about Battlefield 1. It was miserable.
Yeah, I agree. The gas was not a fun gameplay mechanic. It is funny how devs are like, they'll have a whole idea and then they're like, they just commit to it without testing whether or not it's fun. And then you're just like, well, now we have this new mechanic that it looks cool, but it's not fun to be in. Right. I remember, this dates me, but this is when I first started realizing like, oh, it makes a lot of sense to cut features that look really cool, but don't play well. And this was like back in Half-Life 2 when they were teasing the game before it came out. They had they had this weird like electric worm monster that was like in a sewer system. And I remember, and the teaser videos, they're like releasing little dev teaser videos for it. Looks so cool. And people are like, oh my God, that's going to be so scary to fight against this weird worm thing that hunts you down in the sewers. Like, what a cool idea. And then the game came out and people were like, hey, you remember that worm? That wasn't in the game. And the devs talked about it later and they're like, yeah, we really wanted to get it in, but it just wasn't fun to play against. It just we couldn't find any way to make it fun. It just sucked. Yeah. And so they cut it. It was a neat asset, crazy visual concept. And then they ultimately, they went by the rule of fun. And I feel too many games, they don't figure out if something's fun until the feature is like in the final design phase. And then they're like, oh no, this isn't fun. They're like, well, we spent 6 months developing it. It's like,
so we're putting it in.
Yeah. The term is fail quickly or fail fast, right? So they're like, if you have an idea and that idea sucks, how quickly can you figure out that idea sucks and then cut it? So like, can you build that concept in like a week and test it as quickly as possible, even if it's janky and crappy and not optimized? Like, figure it out right away before you're like, and for our next feature, we've got tornadoes, and then you're like, turns out,
and not one. Suck. But two.
Yeah. Creatively bankrupt, man. That's what that was right there. Like,
Yeah. I mean, they could like if they expanded upon it, there was like flooding and hurricanes and earthquakes that like, shifted the way that the environment looked. Like imagine like every map being that dynamic with like extreme weather and disasters. That would have been sick.
Yeah.
But nope, it's just a tornado that spins around and doesn't even move anything.
What if it was like BF1's game mode where if you fail to push through, then the attacking team gets a weather satellite and they're like, fine, see how you guys like a tornado attack on like objective A. And then it just like rips all the soldiers out of their emplacements. Like, there you go. That's a cool way to do it. But yeah, random tornado, pretty boring.
I remember them talking about a dev saying how they wanted, it was so cool because like it would rip up a shipping crate and then landed on a sniper that was on top of a rooftop. I'm like, that never happened in the history of this game at all.
It may have happened in some random playtest they were doing.
Yeah.
Unlikely, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say like, yeah, if you click the little checkbox on the tornado that said like engage physics for all like debris in an environment,
right.
Like, and then they tested that out on their local servers and were like, this is so cool. And then later the devs were like, hey, this is way too expensive. Like we can't run this in a big multiplayer environment.
Especially 128 players running around.
Yeah. And then they had to uncheck it. So in that situation, I could imagine that being a reality for an internal playtest. And then they're like, we can't do that. We can't. It's so cool, but we just
It probably
can't
would have been sick. It probably would have actually made the tornado feel like it was actually dynamic and it would change the environment a little bit because now your cover is different, right? Like that could have been cool, but nope.
Yeah. Yeah. I was one of the few dudes that when the tornado revealed during the trailer, I was like, that's going to suck in like 1 week's time after the game comes out. Everybody's going to be like, well, wish these tornadoes would stop ravaging the landscape while I'm trying to have a firefight.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be really funny is if it curved your bullets, you're like trying to shoot a guy and it's like sucking the bullet away and you have to like, okay, well,
just by a little bit. Yeah.
It's like that weird action movie where they could like curve the bullets. You remember that? They'd like whip the gun.
Wanted?
Yeah, Wanted. They'd like whip the gun and then the bullet would go around the room. It's like, whoa, cool, super. I love how nobody when like designing that concept was like, should we research the physics of this at all?
No need. No need.
No.
It's because it was magic. It was literally magic.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, you've seen baseball when the pitcher throws the ball, he puts a spin on it. And the ball curves.
Can
it's
you
a
imagine how
curveball.
fast you would have to like whip your gun to have it curve?
Yeah. and it's not just like going off target by an inch. We're talking like
it's going around people.
360 degree circle in like a room that's like 40 feet wide or something. You're like, okay.
There was a book I read, Powder Mage series, where they would burn powder. Black powder, and they would like use it as like a drug too, and they would be able to use that to shoot their weapons faster, but they could also like detonate a charge midair so that it would then cause the bullet to like move in the air. And I was like, that's actually kind of clever. So it uses their magic system to be able to, scientifically, kind of add a little bit of realism into it, but they were essentially being like moving bullets in the air, which was really cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
So Battlefields, it's going to be nice getting some new content. I mean, it'll already be out by the time this podcast is live, but they're spreading it thin. I think it's hard to deny. Like they're like, look at all these, like when you look at the graphic they made for the amount of content they're giving you, you're like, okay, so if I just X out all the stuff that's kind of bullshit that I don't care about, we're getting two
the
new
game
maps.
modes.
The game modes that we're going to play all of
better
5
than
times.
2042, but that's a pretty low bar. I'm really hoping that with season 3, we see 2 new maps and then a reworked map. And then we can see that if we see that cadence, 2 new maps, 1 remade map for a couple of seasons, I'll probably be pretty happy. But it would have been nice to get another remade map instead of Golmud, because we don't even know when Golmud's coming out, right? Like
I don't know if they've said. For sure. Which they probably won't.
They're working on it. I think they did that to PlayState and just be like, hey, we are going to bring you some remastered maps. Like, well, okay, cool. I mean, that's great.
It was smart of them, I think, to say that to cool people off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, outside of Battlefield, Matt, what are you been playing these days?
I've been playing a bunch of games. We got Reanimal, High on Life 2, and Mewgenics were the ones that I played this week.
What was your favorite?
Ooh, man, they're all different for different. They're good and bad for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I put more. Well, have I put more time? I beat High on Life in 2 streams, so it took me about 12 hours. It's relatively short.
Yeah.
Did you play the first game at all?
That's the one with the like talking gun. Yeah.
Yeah, all the weapons talk. They're all goofy.
Mm-hmm.
This one felt more streamlined, but also it felt like they ran out of budget by the end.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know for sure or anything, but it felt like it got a little rushed by the end.
Okay.
The pacing I thought was better. The pacing in the first game I felt was a little bit all over the place. This one felt like it kind of had its funny moments and its beats going a little bit, just it had a better pacing, just in general. I thought personally the humor was a little bit more up my alley, but it was way less vulgar and disgusting. The first game, like there were some scenes and some like jokes that were just straight kind of gross, and you're just like, okay, like I get it's supposed to be funny, but this is actually just disgusting. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like shock humor kind of thing. I didn't really see any of that. I didn't really do the side content, so I don't know if the side content, maybe stepped into more of that like ridiculous nonsense. It may have.
Yeah.
But it did feel like they kind of toned it down a bit. But at the end of the day, it's all going to be subjective of, do you like this comedy? Do you like it's a comedy game, and if the jokes aren't landing, they're not going to land.
It's tough because it's tough to do that for a game because now you're like, gameplay's got to be fun, visuals have to be engaging, and now we have to pick a sense of humor that you like. And it's like there's thousands of stand-up comedians out there, and people don't like them all. You have the ones that you like. So yeah, picking a sense of humor that also further sort of alienates some of the audience that may be interested in this game that's a tough additional thing to add on there.
They also did some things I was not expecting, which was they completely just slowed down the game and all of a sudden turned it into a murder mystery where you have to figure out like who done it, right? Where you have to like interview
was
people.
Was it the talking gun?
Well, they were involved, we'll say that. And it wasn't like the most insane murder mystery I've ever done, but at least it had like some decent like twists and turns in there where, for 30 minutes you're just figuring out who done it. There's like a court case at the end, mild spoiler, I guess. And you just straight go through a court case. And
nice.
It's like, this is weird.
That's so weird for a game that generally, because I mean, I didn't play it, but I watched the trailer for it, and it's marketed as like a funny action game.
Yeah, and then like near the end, it's just a court case. I'm like, okay, and it's it's got some funny beats here and there, but they kind of play it a little like straight with the court case where it's actually like back and forth and which I was like
objection.
Right,
you have to like it's like a timing game where you have to time your objections at the right time. If you miss it, they win.
Not quite, but yeah, it's a bit goofy. I overall enjoyed it. I will say, I wish the combat was a bit better. Not only, the biggest offender is it crashes all the time. I think I crashed upwards of like 5 to 8 times.
Oof.
Well, no, it's probably more than that. It's like 8 plus.
That's
it was
bad.
It was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so your theory of them rushing the end game may not be that far off, because if the game's crashing a lot on launch, that means they just didn't have enough time to polish.
Yeah. So it was crashing a bunch. I don't know what my frame rate was, but it felt like the controls were a bit floaty, which probably means I was getting some input lag and wasn't game breaking per se. But then getting on into the actual gameplay, I believe the first game was like this too, but they go for a kind of a Doom vibe, the recent Doom titles where you need to be swapping between your weapons. And if you see a guy with a shield, you use one weapon. If you get up close, you obviously use a shotgun. And then, so you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of using weapons for the right situation, right? Which I like. I actually really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I don't think the enemies and the mechanics are deep enough to really justify swapping and trying to and having to think like Doom. Pretty much by the end, I was just using this like 2 different weapons. Every so often, I'd have to switch when I took out a shield guy. But like 99% of the time, you find a weapon you like, and then you just switch to an alternative, And then if you do that, it reloads your other weapon if you wait long enough. So you can just kind of bounce between the two back and forth.
Okay.
And that's I would say that's a bit of a weakness. Is
that's hard.
Overall, it gets very samey, no matter the gun you're using. So.
That's I've noticed a lot of games because Doom did a good job where it's like you just run out of ammo. So you have to go to a new gun. So you're like, my favorite gun is the machine gun. Well, sorry, you used it. Now you got to use the other thing.
And this you have unlimited ammo.
Okay, yeah, that's a huge problem. You gotta come up if you want to force players to sample the variety of the game.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild with my son. He's like finally old enough to play it, and he's loving it. And I noticed in that game too, all your weapons, at least before you get, the Master Sword or whatever, break pretty frequently. So you like kill 5-10 guys with a sword and then it's broken. And then you got to switch to a spear.
Which was a point of contention for a lot of players, though. They're like, this is a little bit too extreme.
I think the rate at which it happens may be a little too extreme. It doesn't allow you to get comfortable with a sword initially and like figure out the attack styles.
Like, I got this great new sword and it's broken.
I can agree with some of that feedback, but I also did like that you're just like, well, I guess I'm using a club now. I'm using a hammer. I'm using a spear. I'm using a sword. And you at least get a feel for how those different weapons play and like try different combat styles. So it forces you into it, and we can debate about the better approaches to that, but sounds like High on Life 2 missed the memo.
It wasn't that the combat was terrible. It was just by the end it got a bit repetitive, and I liked that it was dynamic where there was some guys where you shoot them and then their arms pop off and they scurry around and they try to kill you. Then you get you can grab them. You get eventually you get a grab mechanic and you can throw that back at them. And it's not that the combat wasn't dynamic. There was some cool aspects of it, but I just don't think it was deep enough to really facilitate any meaningful thought of like what you would need to do with Doom. It just it did get a bit repetitive.
So I asked you, of the three, which was your favorite? You're saying High on Life is your favorite?
I don't know if it was my favorite. Probably Mewgenics, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm most curious about Mewgenics because that's been hitting some headlines lately for blowing out the sales charts and
yeah.
One of the devs, he's the guy behind
Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac. Right. So I guess it's not that surprising that it got a huge amount of press and interest in the game because it's got a very...
Who would have thought you make a really beloved game and then your next game, people are like, yeah, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah. How do you like it? How does it hold up?
It's fun. It's nothing like Binding of Isaac, at least in terms of gameplay at all. It is a roguelike where you need to go in and you have your run. It kind of reminds me of it's man, how do you describe this game?
Well, hang on.
So
it's with cats, right? It
is with cats. Yeah. So the baseline is that it is a game where you recruit cats, strays, or you breed them with the cats you already have to make new cats, which all have different stats.
Yeah.
I have not gotten far enough into the game. Apparently you can start to like, hey, I'm going to put these two cats in this room so that they have a higher chance, and I'm going to increase the comfort so they have a higher chance of breeding and
you actually have to do that? You can't just be like, breed this cat with that cat?
Nope.
You gotta
it's random.
set the scene and light a candle and stuff?
Well, maybe not set the scene, but you have to... It is random, and I think I've only gotten to the point where I have two different... I've got an attic, and I've got like a lower section, right? So I'm not that deep into it. I put about 10 hours into it so far.
Okay.
So you can kind of separate where you want them to go, and each area has a different comfort level. Comfort level is how often they'll get into fights and how likely they are to breed. There's also things that will increase like the strength or the stats of the kittens that pop out, right? So these are all things you kind of have to consider. And like I said,
just want that to be the game and not the rest of it where they fight stuff. I just wanted it to be cat farming, the cat farming sim.
And that's only a part of it. It is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about who you want to be with who, and it won't always work out that way. But you want... I haven't really gotten to the breeding section because I think it gets a lot more involved later on. But there'll be like mutations and stuff like that. Like I got one that has extreme dwarfism, which they're just the tiniest little cat, and all their stats are absolutely garbage except for their luck or something. So I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna use you on, but like, all right, little buddy. Like, so it is. I think I put 10 hours in and I'm like 7% away through. It says 7%. I'm like,
I've heard this game that there's like
massive,
multiple endings and all kinds of crazy stuff where you're just like, yeah, you think you beat it. And then it's like, no, but there's like a final ending. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. The gameplay is where you take the cats and they all have like different stats, obviously. And then you need to put a class collar onto them. Fighter, mage, rogue, ranger, cleric. I'm sure there's a lot more that's going to be, I haven't even gotten to yet, right? And they'll have, so if you put like the fighter collar on it, it will increase certain stats, like its strength stat. If you put the cleric on one, it will increase its
just for people
health.
Who haven't seen a video of the game, it's kind of like, it looked kind of like Into the Breach, sort of, where it's like,
it's like
turn-based?
Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah,
it's turn-based. Yeah, it's turn-based combat. You've got a grid, and you can move around the grid.
Okay, so that's pretty Into the Breach style, right? Where I don't know if you've played that one, but
I haven't really, so I can't really say.
Okay, yeah, grid-based, turn-based combat, where I assume you can move your units and then do attacks and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And it's super zany. So, like I said, once you've kind of solidified your class, I actually like that it's very traditional with it's like you have a rogue, a ranger, a cleric, and all that, right? And you have your roles. I think that's actually really nice.
But they're also
and then
cats.
You go as cats. Yeah, they are cats still. They never. It's just the collar you put on them, just so that they become that thing, right? So if you wanted to, you could have a ranger with terrible ranger stats. If you wanted to, you could just do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the actual gameplay is you having this Final Fantasy tactics style vibe, turn-based strategy, and it's really clever. Everything is quite unique. You'll have enemies that do unique things, like if you hit them, they will try to hit you back, but it will only be on the right-hand side. So you want to make sure that you're on the left-hand side of them when you actually attack. But sometimes you can't be on the left-hand side, but you also need to take it out, because if you don't, it's about to hit your other guy, and if they die, like, so it's got all these really great mechanisms underneath the hood, where at its core, it's kind of basic for everything, but you add everything together with the layers. It becomes quite complex, and it's been fun so far. Yeah. I think it's a solid game. It's, I don't want to say it's amazing because I've only played it for so long, but it is definitely
I heard it was in
unique.
like active development for like 7 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. I think he actually had the idea of this game before he made Binding of Isaac, and he made that to get comfortable with game development. And then obviously the rest is history.
Now I can make my masterpiece or whatever.
Right.
That's fun. That's really funny that his sort of like, I'll do this first game was the huge hit. Yeah, he's a interesting dude, interesting team of devs to come up with all these wacky games, because they are weird. They're super weird. Binding of Isaac is super weird. Mewgenics,
it is zany.
You're breeding cats to fight in a weird roguelike Final Fantasy situation. It's cool.
Yeah. It is cool.
Okay. Cool. And Reanimal, how's it stack up?
So this is the creators of Little Nightmares. You ever played the Little Nightmares series?
No, I didn't.
They're good. They're solid. 1 and 2 was good. I never played 3 because I think they sold the rights to another company.
What kind
and then
of
they went
game
off
is it?
and made this game. It is how do you even describe? It's a horror title where you play as a kid and you go around in this world trying to basically progress forward. Whatever forward is, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you're trying to avoid creepy enemies and just survive. I like Little Nightmares 1 and 2. I enjoyed Reanimal. I did get a code from the developers, so full disclosure on that. Okay. But it is $40, and you can beat this sucker in like 3 hours.
Oh, no. That's tough.
So it's pretty short. I did it in 5 because it's me, and I'm slow. But like I was... 2 Angry Gamers, I think, beat it in 3.5 hours. And it's like, that's fast. It's fast. The gameplay was okay. It was like, it had some spooks here, and there was some really, really great sections with animation.
Yeah.
It's also co-op. I played it solo. The co-op felt tacked on. There's like a couple of sections where I'm like, oh, this could be kind of interesting if you were, because you like get attached to you attach each other with rope, and you have to navigate like different like kind of this rock crag which winds and turns, and one of you would have to jump to that side but have enough rope so that when they jump they don't die and like fall in and bring you down, right? But that was like one time. And then all the rest is like, hey, I'm going to boost you up this ledge. That's super engaging. Right. So like the co-op felt like it was more there just so if you wanted to play with a buddy or a significant other, you could do that.
But it wasn't cool. Like those It Takes Two style games.
It wasn't an It Takes Two at all.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not even close. So
where it's like they're like, we could inject some of that in as a secondary option. Like, yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So it's neat that it's there, because if you have a significant other or you just want to play with someone else, you can do that. And that's, I respect that, right? Like sharing these games, I think, has value. But it didn't really add much to the experience. You can play it solo 100% and not have any difficulty.
I don't mind a game that's only 3.5 hours if it's like a fun 3.5 hours, but for $40, that's a tough sell. Right.
Yeah. And it was solidly paced. Like it was like it moved, and it had its great spooks and scares, and it's more atmospheric horror where like it's not going to be, there's no jump scares or anything like that. So it's more of just ominous and weird and like creepy thematics. Dude, I have no idea what the story was trying to convey. My chat was also like, what the hell is this story? Like, it's just very, very vague. There's some theories out there online where once I heard them, I'm like, oh, I guess I could kind of see that, I guess.
Okay.
So
like there was Destiny like a vague? What are we talking about here?
No, like no dialogue vague. Like literally you're just trying to piece together, bro, there's a goat and and it becomes very large. And let's just say there's a tank scene, and it's wild and it's cool, but like I have genuinely no idea like what the heck is going on with it. So this would be one where I would definitely recommend it once it goes on sale, because I think the $40 price tag is a little steep for some. Everyone's got a different value when it comes to this stuff, right? So,
but that's fair. Yeah. And I would assume not a lot of replay value since it's essentially a horror game, right? So
yeah, there's like masks that you can go around and try to find and collect, but there's also a secret ending if you find all the apparently.
But if you play through it again, you're not going to get like different abilities or something, or like try.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So it doesn't really have a ton of replayability.
Gotcha.
But like I said, I did like it. I did enjoy my time with it, but I also, I thought I don't think it justified the $40 personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, that's interesting here. It sounds like Mewgenics is probably one of the more appealing titles you just mentioned to a larger group of gamers. That one also sold. They're saying 500,000 copies in like.
They had 100,000 concurrent players.
Yeah, that's wild, dude.
That's insane. Yeah.
It's cool. And
I swear to God, if I ever see anyone say ever again, no one asked for this game. Yeah, because no one asked for the cat game where you breed and then it turns into a tactics real-time strategy.
Nobody asked for Arc Raiders either. In fact, most people were like, another extraction game,
I'm so tired of that. No one asked for this. Yeah, no one asked for a lot of stuff. And it turns out because it was cool. Like, we didn't know it was cool because we didn't know we wanted it until we had it here. It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's perfect example.
If the general crowd is like, we want a game that does this and this and this, you're going to get a really boilerplate, boring, stereotypical game, generally speaking.
Well, what's funny is that this could have easily been a failure. If the game didn't turn out to be good, a lot of people could have been like, they could have said to the Binding of Isaacs, like, no one asked for a cat breeding tactic game. Like, why? What were they thinking?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, no one was asking for that.
You could say that about every game almost.
Right. It's like, is the game good or not? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is great. I mean, I've been reading nothing but headlines about how like these little indie self-published games, this isn't really a little game. It was in development for 7 years, but it's kind of the indie vein, the indie realm are just kicking butt right now, and everybody's playing them. They're winning all the awards. They're getting all the sales. And then like AAA is sort of like, what about us? And then they like fire off half their company. And yeah, it's interesting right now. One of the stories I wanted to just briefly chat about was, well, we know that EA is sort of in the talks about being bought out by that Saudi company, and assuming that the US doesn't slap down the deal, I think it's more or less going to go through, unless it has already. But now there's another Saudi Arabia's Savvy Games Group is reportedly nearing a $6 billion deal to acquire Mobile Legends Bang Bang developer, which is called Moonton, which...
Wonder why they're going after all these game developers.
Well, they're just really heavily investing in a lot of different sectors right now. They have a huge amount of excess money because, just tons of oil money, right?
Gotta have that oil.
Yeah. And so, what do you do if you're like trying to establish your country's future and you see the world kind of trying to pivot away from fossil fuels to a degree, like it's not happening overnight, but it'll eventually happen. So then what happens to your country if you don't have that anymore? Okay, well, you better own like half of the tech in the world. So it just seems like that's what they're doing. They're just like, just buy out all of this tech. We'll own half of gaming. They're investing in soccer, and all these sports things. Yeah. They're investing in all this other tech. So
they're diversifying.
I can't disagree with their strategy. But I am still salty about EA just getting bought out by a foreign investor and being like, okay, I guess we don't have that anymore. That's not like a company that is an American developed and American owned anymore.
So they're looking at Bang Bang. I've never heard of Bang Bang.
Well, Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Yeah, I don't know, because some of the biggest games in the world are these little mobile games that we don't really play because we have awesome computers. And no lives, so we're stuck in our house all the time, so we can just play our awesome computers.
All right. I don't got to make it too personal now.
Hey, I'm lumping me into the group too. I'm not out there playing mobile games. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's huge. If they bought them for $6 billion freaking dollars, it's a pretty big.
It's a lot of money. It's a pretty big company.
So that's interesting. The other story is hardware delays, dude. So like, we know the AI stuff is going on. We've been talking about stuff getting delayed. The Steam stuff has been delayed. The new Steam headset, the Steam controller, which I think looks really cool. And then Steam Decks, apparently nobody can buy them anymore. They're part shortage, and Valve's addressed that. Like, yeah, they're having a really hard time getting parts for it right now. And
because everything's so expensive.
Super expensive. It's not just expensive, but it's just like the companies have just decided, like, no, we're using these plants to build these parts instead. Sorry.
That sucks. Which is wild because like they're selling these, I'm assuming they're selling it. There's obviously a demand for it. So you think that that would ripple down the line, you would assume.
Yep. There's an absolute demand for it and just a finite amount of production facilities. So the production facilities go to the highest bidder. So gaming is no longer the highest bidder, which is wild because it's one of the biggest industries in the world.
It is the biggest entertainment industry in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That unfortunately shares the same factories as the AI industry now. These data centers are buying out hard drives now too. So if you needed more storage for your computer, good luck. I think Western Digital has got they're back ordered for like a year or something crazy. It's just stupidness. The PlayStation 6, potentially, rumors are suggesting that it may be delayed to 2028 or 2029 based on all of this stuff going on and other hardware that's part of the Valve hardware delay also was saying we're going to have to look at the prices on this stuff too, because like we're just going to lose a ton of money if we launch it at the initial prices that we thought. And then if we sell it at the prices that will make money, we're going to get a huge amount of backlash because of how stupid expensive it is. So they're just like, what do we do? Do we just wait a while and not release our hardware? Like it's weird.
A tough position to be in. Yeah.
It's weird because we're on the edge of a lot of really cool gaming developments. Like I think the Steam Machine could be this could be the moment for it. It could be a big deal.
It's
And
unfortunately happening when all this other stuff is going on at the same time.
really bad timing for them.
Yep. Terrible timing.
So, yeah, that's unfortunate. And I can't stop seeing all these stories about hardware shortages. And it's not just stories. It's if you want to buy stuff for your computer, if you want to buy a computer or you want to upgrade something, those prices are ridiculous right now. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it reminds me of the early days when computer building and upgrading was more of a niche thing. And most people didn't have household computers or high-end household computers where you needed to actually do rendering on them. So if you wanted to build a render machine back in the day for 3D animation, you're like, all right, you got $5,000 laying around. It was just stupidly expensive. And this was back in the day when $5,000 was worth, $10,000.
Even way more. Yeah. Well, it's not, maybe not that much, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. You get what I mean. It was just really expensive. So
yeah,
it feels like we're returning back to this weird boutique era of computers where you're like, oh, you want
God, I hope not. Because it's been increasing. And, computers or PC gaming is now, it's becoming more and more popular year after year. But this is definitely going to throw a wrench into that 100%.
Yep. Manufacturing will catch up with this eventually. And I think the AI data center demand will cool off at some point. Eventually, they'll figure out how to make more efficient models that use less horsepower to run. And
use less everything would be kind of cool.
That would be sick. I'm all for it. I mean, that is the angle of some of the models is they're like, yeah, our models aren't quite as smart as theirs, but we use 1/10 the resources. So at some point, that's going to be a really attractive investment for somebody. So yeah, it's interesting, man. It just sucks. We gotta wait out a storm for a while. Invest in a soldering gun, Matt. That's what you should buy right now because you're gonna have to keep that computer up and running. All right.
Oh my God, I hope not. then we're toast at that point.
Yeah, you're absolutely doomed if something goes out. You're like,
I'm just gonna have to hope and pray then.
Yep. Luckily, I've got some PCs with some backup. I always have one computer that's got comparable hardware nearby that I'm like, okay, if something goes down, I can start swapping parts in and out of to get back up and running.
Smart.
Yep. I saw a movie that I thought I was gonna skip over this because it seems like every 2 years there's a new Predator movie.
Wait, hold up. You got Highguard. What? Oh, that's right. There was a Highguard stuff. Did you want to talk about Highguard before we moved on to movies?
Yeah. Let's talk about Highguard. Okay, I'll talk about Predator in a second because this is a little gemstone that we gotta address. But okay. So Highguard, I think we predicted this last week a bit, but the news is
maybe not this quickly.
Yeah, this is fast, and I think publishers are getting faster with it now because who's gonna sit around and be like, maybe this will recover someday? I think the writing is on the wall. It's pretty obvious when a game is gonna make it or not. And Highguard wasn't going to make it. And I think most of the studio got let go. I think they're keeping a few people on to let the game die peacefully.
Gracefully.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got content ready to rip.
Yeah, I think they're dropping all their content for the game and then just going to let it die off or whatever. But
kind of like the Ubisoft way what they did with that X-Defiant.
Yeah, maybe like that. But
I haven't heard anything about that, but that is what X-Defiant did. It's
been a big story, and there's some unfortunate side drama about this. Not even side drama, main drama about it. But there's been a lot of devs sort of talking about how.
I was gonna say, did you see the devs one of the devs' response?
I did, and I kind of feel bad for these. I feel bad for any dev that's caught in the social media vitriol that happens around a bad game launch, and they're like, I wasn't prepared for this, and you're like, oh no. We've been doing this for a while, and I think we've all had our moments where we say or do something, or somebody just picks a fight with us or says something to us, and all of a sudden we're targeted by something, and we're like, this sucks. But we've been around long enough where I think we've kind of got the thick skin built up for it, and we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll be fine tomorrow or next week or whenever. But for somebody being thrown into a giant fiasco like this and then being targeted as a developer and just maybe not knowing how to word things properly or maybe placing blames slightly in the wrong area.
So it's a way to phrase it. So I'm assuming you're referring to the one where he basically describes culture around YouTubers and content creators, and also was sort of putting blame on the gamers. That I'm assuming was that post.
Yeah. I felt bad for this guy because he wrote some stuff that, like, you and I know if you wrote that and put it on the internet, like, it's over, dude. You're going to get crucified. You're going to get roasted. And
which he did.
Yeah, which he did. And I do think his opinions are incorrect, like on many accounts. But
I will give my opinion after you go.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to even remember what he said because I thought it was just kind of, he was sort of like talking a bit about the culture around it and some of the backlash he got, and then also having to go back to AAA after this or whatever, and like how we were
from my memory, he was basically saying that from day one, people wanted this game to die. People were basically rooting for this game to die. There was a negative hype around it, and he blamed that partially for why the game failed and why they're having to let people go. And then when getting to what you were just describing, he feels that they're independent. They were a smaller company. They weren't, they weren't tiny. It's tiny. I think it was like 90 developers. And so for them to, because a lot of people are claiming, and this is what he was saying in his post, that like, this is what's wrong with AAA gaming. He's like, well, guys, we're not AAA. We're like, we were trying to do something special. We were trying to do something different. We were going independent. And now we're going to have to, all these people are now going to have to go back to that machine that you guys are saying is so bad. And so like, congratulations, I guess, right? Yeah. All the while kind of being like blaming the gamer for why it failed, and
you could see how this was going to blow up on him from the beginning, and it's tough because there was some stuff in there that I think is important too, is to just like talk about. He had to private his like social media account and a bunch of other stuff because there was so much anger coming in about stuff or mean things being said, and it sucks that there's just too many gamers out there that are willing to say mean things to devs and just not be adults about things or give critical but helpful feedback on things. He's incorrect in the sense that if in the theory that content creators are the reason why the game didn't do well. I mean, Highguard.
He is correct in some ways, but continue. In my opinion, continue.
Okay. Well, I'll just say it this way then. Highguard got a huge amount of exposure.
Yes,
both negative and a little positive, I guess, but it got a lot of people into the game playing it. 100,000 people into the game. At that point, if you have downloaded a game and you are playing it, most people out there aren't just doing it so they can write some comment on social media. It's a free game that has high production quality. They want to see if it's good. If you can't capture that audience, 100,000, that was 100,000 concurrent players. So they got millions of players into their game to play it. If nobody's playing it after a week or two, like, you're going to say that they went online and were like, oh, well, so-and-so YouTuber said the game sucks. So I had a great time, but I guess I'll stop playing because, whatever YouTuber guy said it wasn't fun. Like, nobody does that. If a game's fun and you're enjoying it, you stick with it. You know what I mean?
I do agree. Yes. To some extent. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying that nobody has ever like been influenced by a YouTuber like that, but if you got a big audience in to play your game, and if the game was amazing, nobody would care if somebody online said that the game sucked. They'd just be like, well, I'm having fun. I'm going to keep playing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think he is right that he put this in his post. I think YouTubers and content creators are incentivized to be negative. I think that unfortunately there is a culture and there is a financial incentive to be negative towards things because it just drums up drama, and drama gets views, and that means that they do have a financial incentive to be negative. It sucks.
The algorithm basically is like, sensationalism. You got to
sensationalism.
This game is good is not sensational. This game is the worst game I ever played. That's sensational,
Yeah. So I do think he's right in that respect. And I think this is a moment where two things can be right. One, they made an okay game. It's only okay. It's not trash. It's not garbage, but it's only okay, right? It's like it's not really enough to get people to stay around, and that's why we had 100,000 concurrents, and a couple weeks later, there's not anywhere. It's only a couple thousand, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I think that can be true, but I can also think it can be true that there is a negative campaign around this, and it's getting a lot of hate, and I think a lot of it is undeserved in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think that can have a negative impact on how many people will play. If you go to a Steam page and you see it is overwhelmingly negative or mostly negative, like you're gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna play that. Or you constantly hear from YouTubers and you constantly hear from people talking about it, that this game is shite and it's awful. Why would I waste my time going and play that game, you know? Or it's like you play it and you're like, oh, it's all right, and everyone else is dunking on it, so of course I'm gonna have this perception when I go into it, like, oh, it's trash. Like, well, I'm now vindicated, right? So, like, yes, the game is mediocre. Like, the game is definitely not. It's got problems with its early game. It's got problems with its flag system. The base mechanics are a little clunky. Like, it's got issues. It's far from a great game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, absolutely, this, like, the discussion around it, I think, has had a negative impact on the game as well. Would you at least agree with that? At least a little bit?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I would say that that argument applies a little bit more to games where, like, somebody says the game is garbage and then nobody tries it. And you go, okay, well, you could argue that that might have been a reason for why it failed, because somebody just said it was bad and the reviews killed anybody buying the game or trying it out. Highguard was free to play and millions of people tried it out. So to an extent, that argument holds less weight in this specific situation.
That's why I said two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, they made a game that just wasn't enough to keep people's attention.
Yep.
But
I agree.
At the same time,
he is totally correct in that there is and has for the longest time, even before YouTube, been a financial system built around sensationalism. The old phrase, if it bleeds, it leads, referred to newspaper articles about if there was an article about something bloody or something crazy happening, that goes on the front page of the paper, right? Because that's how you sell the paper, is with sensationalistic articles. So, I mean, this has been around since kind of the dawn of time, and it has perfected itself to an evil art online, where any content creator gets online with good intentions and says, I'm just going to make positive content. Guess what? You're not going to be a content creator because nobody's going to watch your stuff, unfortunately, because the algorithm, I'm not saying this universally, but the algorithm is not going to favor it. So you're going to really have to figure out a way to get your positive content to trend in an algorithm that doesn't just favor general positivity, you know? And that sucks. It really sucks. And it's like around this Battlefield 6 stuff. I watched some of the comments on my video today because I lead off the video talking about, you know, people comment before they watch a whole video, of course. So I lead off the video talking about how this is one of my favorite maps. It's a really good map. I think they did a great job. Obviously, I'm getting to the part later in the video that's going to talk about how there's not enough content being delivered by DICE ultimately, but still good map. So, you know, most of the comments initially are like, calling me a shill and stuff like that, right? So so I mean, it's like it's a lose-lose almost, because you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go the positive route. I'm going to get less views because I'm not sensationalizing negativity, and I'm going to get roasted in the comments for being a shill, saying that I like something about a game, right? So it's crazy how disincentivized you are on many factors, financially and just for like your peace of mind, almost, to like, oh, well, if the community thinks this is bad, you better get on the bandwagon and agree with the community, you know? So it's tough out there. He's not wrong, but this game didn't fail because of content creators.
I don't think he's wrong, but he definitely, like, blaming the gamers and blaming others for making a pretty average to mediocre,
Yeah.
like even below average in a lot of ways.
Jeff Keighley really screwed them on this one to a degree.
Yeah,
and
he got eyeballs on it. And if the game was legitimately like sick and it brought something, you know, fresh and new that people actually enjoyed, because I do think it was different and fresh and new in some ways, but it just wasn't good enough to keep people's attention.
Also, this is gonna haunt Jeff Keighley for the next decade probably, because every time he hypes something up from this point on, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, another Highguard coming up, you know, like, what are you so excited for, Jeff? He really kind of burned some of his credibility there. And who are we to say that he wasn't legitimately excited for the game?
I think he was excited.
But then it also makes you go, well, how are you this far off the mark as a game reviewer to not understand that this game wasn't going to do well? Like we could have seen this game behind closed doors and been like, okay, well, it's a competently made game that's definitely not going to do well. Like, think about how many times we've been to events or seen games before they launched where we could say with 100% certainty that there wasn't going to be an audience for the game, or at least at the scale that they needed an audience to be. So yeah, that constantly surprises me, man, as how off the mark some people in high up positions in industry can be. Where you're just like, wow, these people should know.
He's also going to have to change his show, I think, where he now prioritizes that final slot. It's like, okay, I did not realize how much weight was going to be put on this final showcase, and we have to choose the right trailer, because if we're not, like, it's going to hurt our, because it's a business. The show is meant to sell stuff. And now if companies are like, well, you know, don't put me in that final slot, like we don't want to have a Highguard situation in our hands, right? That's going to cut into, I'm sure, how much they would want to be willing to pay for that final slot.
Well, I think you always want the final slot if you're confident in your product, right? Like, but nobody should be paying $1 million for a trailer spot if they're not confident in their game, right? Like, because it's going to be a disaster anyway, way you slice it. So it's like, as long as you're confident in your game product, then the final slot is going to get you a lot of views or whatever.
That's true. That is a good point.
Yeah. But it is weird, right? Because we have stuff like the Academy Awards where they're like, it's supposed to be about appreciation of art and all that stuff. But it's like, you know, the movie that wins Best Picture is going to get a stupid amount of video rentals and purchases and whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I mean, it's all the box art for that movie is going to be like Best Picture, you know, like for forever. Like and it's been more or less disclosed that like a lot of the people get under the table little handouts and bonuses. Yeah, it's like been kind of an industry running joke that it's like not a paid and bought for award ceremony, but you know, not technically proven, I guess, but they literally make jokes about it when they're like announcing stuff, you know, because I guess the cat's so out of the bag on it. So, I mean, that's just what these things come down to. It's not to say that there isn't legitimacy in them, because it does make me happy to see indie devs get recognized and get some stage time and get to talk about the industry stuff. And I think that's important, you know, to like actually recognize the difficulty and the hardworking people that like pour their life blood into making these great products. You know, it's like, cool. I'm glad. If it's got to be tied to sort of an advertising campaign, that's okay. You know, you got to it's not going to pay for itself, you know? So that's fine with me, but yeah, it does suck what happened with the whole thing with Highguard sucks, but it mostly sucks because the game sucks. And that's it. At the end of the day,
that is the disappointing part.
Yeah. I'm all for devs trying new stuff. I thought it could have been interesting, but yeah.
And I know, and this, I know we just harped on this, but a lot of people are like, no one asked for this. I'm like, no one asked for Mewgenics. Like, we don't know. Like, stop saying that. Like, it's
no one asked for the next game that's going to explode massively either, because nobody ever asked for the runaway hits, the unexpected hits. Yeah,
that's just not how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you want to hear about something cool now?
I would love to hear about something cool. Is it Predator?
Yeah, so I wasn't going to watch this, but my brother and I talk about movies a lot, and he texted me, he's like, you see the new Predator Badlands movie yet? And I was like, no, I was going to skip it, because Predator movies have been kind of whatever for a while. I was disappointed with the Native American Predator movie that everybody was hyping up, and then I watched it and I was like, choreography really sucked and it kind of like ruined it for me, and I was like, oh man, I was hoping this would be really good. I'm not saying you wouldn't enjoy it. I think a lot of people did, but I just went, okay, this is what a Predator movie is now. I think I'll just skip the next one. And then I did skip whatever the Predators movie was. I don't know. I just didn't bother, but I would never miss a Predator movie before. So my brother texted me, said, Predator Badlands, surprisingly good. I'm like, really? Like, I saw the trailer for it. It looked kind of standard or whatever.
This is the one with Ellie Fanning. Is that her name?
Elle Fanning? I don't know. I think it's Elle, but I could be wrong. Anyway, she's great in it. This movie is freaking awesome. It is so much fun. It's weird because you could say on the surface it is kind of a boilerplate action film of like, there's not a lot of mystery, and like his mission is made clear to him right at the beginning. He's got to go hunt down this giant beast to prove runt predator.
That he's a predator.
Yeah, and he's kind of a runt predator, and to say that their culture is harsh, it would be a light statement. They just cull the weak, basically. They just kill the weak predators, even within their family. They're like, Timio, he's
sorry, Timmy, but you're just too weak and feeble.
Yeah.
Kicking you out.
Yeah. No, not even kicking you out, just kill you straight
like literally
up.
just, okay, this goes full, all right.
Yeah, it's like a shame on the family just to keep you around, basically.
Damn.
They're like, So yeah, predators are wild because I love their tech is so crazy. It's like super high tech, and then they're just like, but we're still primal, sociopaths. Yeah. So this runt predator gets sent to this planet to kill this beast that no predator has ever killed before. Every predator that has gone to kill this beast has died, and they call the planet like the death planet or something like that, where like everything on the planet tries to kill you, and it's kind of awesome. He like lands on the planet and everything, like from the grass to the insects to the trees, whatever. It's just everything's designed to kill you on this planet. And so it's really fun from the beginning because he's just like immediately like, oh my God, almost dead by trees. You know, the trees have got like tentacle vines trying to kill him. And he's like, and those are the easy things, right? And so he's supposed to then go kill the most ferocious beast on this planet after the grass almost killed him. Like, come on. So that part of it's fun. Like they're really doing a fun job building this, like basically Pandora from hell, essentially.
Okay.
As if Pandora.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that part of it's really fun. He runs into Elle Fanning's character, who is a ripped in half android. That's like, hey, if you help me, I'll help you. And she adds all the personality to the movie, right? Because you got Predator, gruff Predator, and then you've got her. And I think the vast majority of the human characters in the movie are androids. And it's like a really fun, like, hey, here's Wayland Yutani, I think is the name of the giant mega corporation that's been in all the Alien movies. And it's like, they're fun because they're sort of the like completely like they have no moral compass and they're just driven by science and profit, right? Like, what would a company do? And it's like this totally dystopian idea of it, but like, why not? Nobody's regulating them in deep space.
Right.
So they just go,
do what they do.
Yeah. So they're on this planet to also like basically take all the science of all these murder creatures and like turn it into profit for them somehow. Right.
Right.
So it's fun. You got the corporate involvement there. You got the predator, you got fun little alien creatures that they run into. And it's hard to get too much more into it without starting to spoil elements of the story. So I'll just say like the fighting's really fun. The CGI is solid. Elle is great in it. The Predator's likable. He's the main character. And so you're like, okay.
That's actually cool that they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, they managed to give his face like a lot of personality.
He is very much not like a human.
Yeah, they kind of animate their faces. You notice like it's like the first Predator movie. It's just kind of a crab face that can either open its mouth or not. And you're like, how do you give that expression? They gave him a lot of more facial animated expression. And so you can kind of see almost sarcastic looks in him now. And so that helps a lot, making him a more likable. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that was fun. The tech's fun. He's got all kinds of crazy weird weapons, the relationship and symbiotic stuff of the life forms on the planet is also really well done, where it's like it's not just murder planet without any sense to it. They're like actually get into it, and you're like, oh, this isn't just something that's trying to kill you. Like it actually does this and this, and like it's cool once they sort of start to unravel that side of the story, and that's like a really fun surprise element to how things start to evolve and how the narrative evolves in an interesting way. But I thought it was great, man. Like for a movie that I was expecting to be incredibly predictable and generic, it surprised me. And I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Hell yeah. I'll have to check it out.
I think you can stream it for free on Hulu also. So, I mean, it's not bad. Not bad.
All right. Very nice. Stream it for free, as if, you know.
Well, you know what I mean.
Subscription. You could watch it for free on Netflix.
Sorry.
Okay.
You can stream it on Hulu if you have a Hulu subscription.
Yeah. I know I'm splitting hairs, but I always find that stuff a little bit funny.
No. It's a good correction.
I started watching Fallout season 2, and it's been great so far.
Okay.
I know I was slow on the uptake on that, but yeah, it's great. I've been enjoying it.
Cool.
You know, it's more Fallout, high production value. Walton Goggins absolutely carries every scene he's in. I absolutely adore him as an actor.
He's such a fun character. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's so nutty in real life too. Like, you're like, he's not just nutty as an actor. He's like, his baseline is pretty nutty too.
I don't know anything about his real life personality.
I've just seen him in some interviews and I'm like, whoa, like, yeah,
he's a quirky guy.
He's quirky. He's out there. I like it, you know?
It's called charisma.
Yeah. That's cool. I've been debating going back to Fallout. I stopped watching partway through season 1. I'm not really sure why. I felt like it was just a little, Fallout is campy, right? The game is campy. Yeah. So the show is campy, and I think campiness can get a little more mileage in games than it does in shows for me personally. And so at a certain point I was like, I don't know if I'm fully buying into this world because it's just got this really hardcore campy vibe to it, but I might go back in because it really was incredible production design. And I did like Walter Goggins. Yeah. Walton Goggins. It's such a weird name too.
Yeah. It's a bit of an odd one. I
think it's hard to say. Like, well, the last name Goggins. Let's name Goggins. Him Walton. Is that where people who are called? No, Walt is short for Walter generally, right? But I would
assume so.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'll check that out. I might check it out. Been running out of shows lately. I'm gonna have to get another subscription to Apple or HBO or something.
Start reading books instead.
Yeah. I do need to. Books cost money too, Matt. Okay, they're not free.
Oh yeah, I didn't say they were free.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There's some books I need to catch up on. I saw the new Richard Linklater movie called Blue Moon, which I enjoyed, but I wouldn't recommend it to the average moviegoer because it is a character study. So it's like, in the sense that the whole movie takes place in essentially a hotel lobby where the guy's talking to like a bartender in a bougie hotel lobby, and there's sort of a little party that's going on there. And so you have different characters coming and going, but it's more or less just a full, it's like a bottle movie where it all takes place in one scene, one area. And it's just a character story, and Ethan Hawke is the main character. And it's about the guy who wrote the musical. It's not about the guy who wrote the musical Oklahoma, but it's about a guy who was involved in writing musicals at that time. And so the guy who wrote the musical for Oklahoma is in part of the story here. And it's got Margaret Qualley in it, and she's really big right now and really good. But incredible acting from Ethan Hawke, and nice. An interesting sort of just dive into a weird, quirky character who, and this is what Richard Linklater movies do, is they just sort of really dive into a moment in time for someone or a small group of people. And it's a really kind of like, it's often a cozy moment in time. This one was interesting because the character in it is deeply flawed, but you like him, and you just kind of live his life for a little bit. And you're like, this is a wild, zany person who wrote musicals back then and is an alcoholic and has all these problems and is totally all over the map, but is incredibly interesting to listen to and has all these relationships with different people and like that were huge for the time. And then you're like, he's talking to somebody and you're like, wait, is that the guy who wrote Stuart Little? You know, and you're like, how much of this is real? Did he just give that guy the actual idea for Stuart Little randomly in a conversation and then walks away from him? And you're like, whoa, like, is this real? And then you're like looking it up. You're like, how much of this movie is based in reality? Like, it's pretty interesting. So fantastic acting, but it is a character study. So if you're in the mood for a character study, then I do
Which I think reflects
recommend
its
it.
Rotten Tomato, where critics are at 91 and user is 76, which is good score, but kind of reflects that a bit. I feel like critics like that maybe slower character study burn than others.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I think that I don't think character studies are for the average moviegoer because it's either you like the character or you don't. You know, there's been plenty of character studies that I don't enjoy. You know, it's like everybody's like, oh, Raging Bull's like the ultimate, like Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro. But I'm like, man, I couldn't enjoy it because like the character's too depressing, right? You're just watching it like, oh man, it's fantastically acted, but I just didn't enjoy watching it. So this is one that I enjoyed more because the character is more likable despite his flaws and you sort of being like, come on, man, just get your stuff together and kind of rooting for them, but knowing that they're not going to get their stuff together ultimately, but they're still very likable. And you're sort of along with them for the journey. So nice. I recommend that one. It's solid.
Nice.
I've also, I didn't want to mention this because it's sort of it's a guilty pleasure, Matt. Well, okay.
All right. Spill the tea. Come on.
Semi-pleasure. I'll say.
Semi?
I've gone back to watching some old shows that were like huge for their time, but I never watched because they were on maybe a subscription service. So I started watching Sex and the City for the first time.
All right. Okay.
I saw a podcast and somebody was like asking them what they're watching, and it's like, I'm rewatching Sex and the City for the third time. And I was like, really? It's that good? And well, clearly, Matt, you're Samantha, just in case you were wondering. But
I'm a Samantha? Okay, I don't know what that means, but sure, continue.
It just means that during the time, everybody's supposed to relate themselves to one of the four women on the show. They're like, oh, I'm a Carrie, or I'm a Samantha, or whatever.
Okay.
And so, and Samantha's the slutty one, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Okay, I recognize her.
It's funny going back to watch shows before we had heavily serialized shows where narratives carry over from one episode to another. Because back when this show was running, you would have a subscription to HBO. But a subscription to HBO just meant you got to turn to the channel and whatever the channel was playing at that time, you would watch. Which means if there was a season of Sex and the City, you'd probably see, 5 out of the 10 episodes or however many episodes there were in the season, right? You're going to miss some.
Right.
You're going to catch some. So all the episodes have to be written in a way where they're fully self-contained. And you can enjoy it from start to finish, and you don't necessarily need to see the finale or the beginning or what happens in between. And that changes up how deep you can write characters to an extent. And so I had to keep that in mind because we were watching it and I'm like, man, everybody in this show is like, I know it's sort of intentionally shallow because they're all kind of exaggerated character
things were much
stereotypes.
More episodic in the past. Much more. Because like you said, you have to jump in and jump out.
Yep. And so it makes it hard to watch it now in like sort of, if you're going to, the episodes are only 25 minutes long. So you could binge,
really?
Yeah, you could binge a season in like an evening if you wanted to.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, we're watching it. I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying it because it's really funny and well written in that sense. But the characters are bite-sized, like they're shallow. So they're not written with a lot of depth, and they're kind of exaggerated versions of, real people. So that part of it, I have to keep reminding myself. I'm like, this was from a different time. These characters weren't meant to be in a serialized form where they keep getting deeper and learning interesting life lessons, and they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. You're like, why are these characters developing in
I'm glad
ways?
we've moved past episodic stuff to some extent, because like, man, it makes shows so much more enjoyable for me. It's like, I want things to progress. I don't just need it to be a CSI Miami every single, for every single show out there. So I prefer it.
There was an interesting turning point in television in the States when things started to go that way. And we're still getting a lot of, episode to episode shows where the characters were really shallow. And then occasionally you'd get a show that went for the serial version. And I remember one of the first shows that had incredibly deep character progression. And that was Joss Whedon's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
And that one just is like, I think that one still holds up today, even though the first season's like about as campy as you could get with any type of show. But by the end of, I think, 7 seasons or something, you're like, man, these characters have been through like everything. You're like, you're so invested in it by the final season versus them just being the exact same version of that character from season 1 to season 7. You're like, all right, that could have been super boring, but it wasn't. Yeah.
I didn't realize that Sex and the City only went from 1998 to 2004. It was only apparently 6 years for how big it was. I thought it was much longer than that, according to Google.
Okay. I mean, that's 6 years is not bad for a show. I mean,
no, it's not. But like, man, it was so big. Like, it was constantly talked about. I felt so. I just assumed it was, more than 6.
I would I don't know, but I bet if you read into it, you'd be like, oh, some of the characters were just like tired of doing the show. That's usually when a show ends. It's like when Seinfeld ended, right?
So much money. Right?
Yeah. It's like when Seinfeld ended. It didn't end because they all wanted to stop. The producers wanted to stop making it because Jerry Seinfeld was like, I'm done. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's it. So, only so far you can take it. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. That's what I've been watching. And then playing Zelda Breath of the Wild and a couple little indie titles here and there that I'm curious about, but are like more on the demo side at the moment.
Okay.
We'll talk about them more when there's more to talk about. Like
sounds good to me.
Gameplay. Yeah. Well, you want to wrap up the podcast there, Matt?
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, everybody, thank you guys for dropping by and listening to us. Hope you're enjoying the new Battlefield Season 2. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the new map. Am I out of my mind thinking it's a fantastic map? I think I'm on point, but we'll see how the gameplay actually develops.
I hope you're on
from
point,
there.
dude. We need some quality content.
We do. Also, if you want to support our podcast further, you can check us out on Patreon and listen to us record it live on Mondays, which some people are doing right now, and then come and hang out with us for a little bit post-podcast. Your support is appreciated, but regardless of whether or not you're a Patreon member, you can come by here and watch Matt try and come up with some helpful advice for you at the end of every single episode. Take it away, Matt.
All right, so this week's life advice is to purchase some nice skin lotion. You can use it on more than one part of your body, and it can actually help.
Going with this, Matt?
I had some chronic skin issues that I apparently were solved because I used some nice skin lotion. I had some ashy feet. Yes, cleared it right up.
Good advice. You know what? You're not going to make it far in the Pacific Northwest without a little bit of lotion. These winters get dry,
They do get quite dry. They do get very dry. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm like noticing parts of my hand. I'm like, why do I feel like a dinosaur like on this part of my hand all of a sudden? I got to lotion it up.
You gotta lotion up.
Yep. Or just get some good, like genetic alterations or something. I'm just waiting for that, just like.
That definitely.
As soon as they get that syringe where they just inject you and like all of your cells go back to, your ideal.
Oh my God,
age.
Sign me up for that.
No
complications with that one. Invest AI into that sucker. How about that?
Yeah. Oh man, there's been some great AI memes that I will tell you about in the post podcast session of the show because They're a little racy, Matt, but there's some funny ones. I'll find them.
All right.
I'll link you to them. They're good stuff. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Take care.